Everyone, welcome to the special edition in conversation with the Michael Newton Institute. Today, we're honored to introduce you to Nora Yolles Young, is our career partner here at M&I. Nora is a board-certified hypnotherapist, soul mind coach, author, instructor, and intuitive healer. So happy to have you, Nora, here. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it.
Thanks, James. Thanks for having me here.
Can you share with us your role as a life between lives and spiritual consciousness facilitator? What does that mean in practice for you, for both you and the people you work with?
I mean, really, it's nothing short of trying to change the world, right?
Right?
As facilitators, the goal, for me anyway, I feel like I'm deeply aligned through this work to bring higher level consciousness to humanity in a way that is just in coherence and congruity with people's mission. Coming here, I think that we're in a huge evolutionary leap. And in all honesty, I felt like my whole life I was born to do this deeper soul work. I came into the planet pretty awake, had my first spiritual experience with a guide when I was 5. I see my path so clearly as preparing me to do this work. And now being a career partner instructor and helping train people to get prepared to become a facilitator, an LBL facilitator, is some of the coolest work I've ever done. And I'm incredibly passionate about it because the people that I get to help become facilitators are already amazing in their own right. And so, like, they're all healers already.
Mm-hmm.
So, having the opportunity to instruct them in a way that helps them integrate into their artistry and their craft on a deeper level, to me, is what is my calling. I feel when it comes to the instructing component and in terms of my work with people, it's just another branch of helping humanity to evolve. I believe with every ounce of my being that humanity is ready for this quantum leap in consciousness and is needing assistance. And I feel like my purpose is to be kind of boots on the ground, kind of like spiritual triage. And in this work, I feel like this enables me to provide clients with that support, and then people who feel like, oh, I have to do this to help people have these kinds of clarifying sessions. I mean, like the work that you
Yeah.
do, James, and
Uh,
we're all in the same boat with
yeah.
that work.
I love that. You mentioned like we're all healers, right? I think a lot of people that get pulled towards this path, there is that innate, ability within us, and you're almost like you're getting pulled towards this. Like if you're looking to do this work, you almost know, you feel like it's a calling, right? And I think by you kind of assisting is like you've had that same calling, and now it's giving you practice, giving you the tools you need to kind of use that practice, but to be able to awaken that healer within. So I love that. Yeah. You have the talent for sure.
100%. I mean, I remember my whole life just feeling like, isn't there something deeper? Like, I always have had this preoccupation with going deeper, and like to the extent that my first career was archaeology, digging deeper
Yeah.
and trying to find it that way. That was just a part of the journey. Most students that I have the experience, whether they're like a yoga instructor or someone who works in the healing arts, more metaphysically or esoterically oriented, like a psychic or medium.
Mm-hmm.
They feel like people come to them and they're like, take me into these deeper realms. Like, I want to know what you know. How do you have access to the information that you have? Like, you have such an embodied sense of your spiritual connection. Like, how do I get that?
Yeah.
And so they're already being pinged by their community going, I want you to help me. And they're like, I want to help you, but I just don't have the skill set yet.
Yeah. No, it makes sense because I think a lot of people have the innate ability, but by doing this work, you're teaching someone how to fish. You're showing them, your clients are able to experience spirit in a way that's not telling them. Like, typically a psychic will tell you, or a shaman or whatever, they're the ones doing the work. But when we're working with clients and we're teaching our clients how to connect with spirit, there's more meaning to that. I think when the client goes through that experience, they feel it.
Ding, ding, ding.
It's a totally different experience. I love it.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
huge. I mean, it's
yeah,
kind of everything because, and that's actually one of the pillars of my work is personal sovereignty because we're at a time, and I do see things in a sort of anthropological way. We're evolving beyond being told externally who we are.
mhm,
And now is the time where I believe humanity feels a deep soul impetus to find their truth authentically from within. And
mhm,
so when you're with, people will tell you, oh, I've had a past life regression. I was with a psychic and they told me what my past lives were. And I'm like, no, 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 no.
mm-mm.
That is not a past life regression because it's not coming from you.
Yeah. Yeah. And this even involves, like, I mean, the work we do does incorporate past lives, but a lot of it is so much more, like I said, beyond. We're using that term with AI, but it really is beyond because there is so much we don't know. And it's like the uncharted territory is the unconscious mind, right? Spirit, etc. So I love it.
It's
So
everything.
quite so yeah. So question is future, right? The future of this work, right? So looking ahead, how do you see the future of this kind of spiritual consciousness unfolding, and what role do you see yourself playing in maybe helping that make it a reality?
In any way that I can. My work is 100, and my life is totally dedicated to this work with M&I, but then in other ways, I'm in the process of publishing a book, just
Awesome.
getting material and techniques and anything that can help make this easier for humanity because I think right now it's October 2025 and externally there's a lot of chaotic expression. Like there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
coming up and I think that is part of what I believe I came here to the planet to be a part of shifting. I do believe that there's like a bifurcation that will start to happen in humanity and for people who are wanting to elevate and not in a hierarchical way, but in a expanded consciousness way to like become more of who they're capable of being as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to contracting into a more dense version of themselves. And my job is to be assistance in that way to make
Yeah.
it joyful and doable and not daunting for
Yeah, I
people.
love that. Yeah, I think there's going to be that kind of change, that split, as the world changes and so much going on in the world right now. We're probably in maybe the biggest change we've seen in decades, right? And people are looking for that answer. And this, instead of, running away from it and, just not caring anymore, this gives you an opportunity to have that foundation. And it's more than just religious, right? This is beyond religion. This is, that inner knowing. And once you know, you can then assist others and help yourself. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love it.
it's beautiful work. I mean, and it's fun to witness, right? Like how sacred it is to be in presence with someone who is having access to who they truly are and
Yeah.
and stepping into that. It's such a gift.
Yeah. That's the most rewarding part, I think, of when I'm with the client and they do have a connection with spirit and they find this inner knowing. There's a sacredness to it. I think that's what keeps me doing this all the time is I don't know what the session's going to be. It's never the same. But when there's that moment and you feel in the room, you feel that connection, it's as if, you've been gifted. So every time I do a session, it's like a gift for myself. So, and you get wiser every time you do a session, you're going to get more wisdom and more wisdom. And eventually you just feel like you're on the right track. So it's a sacred journey for sure. I love it.
It's sacred and it can be pretty trippy too, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I've been in sessions where the atmosphere has changed, where people's
Hmm.
faces change and
Yeah. And I think this work, especially with M&I and the teaching they provide, I think having that foundation to navigate those moments where it can get a little, not sketchy per se, but you're dealing with emotions and feelings and you're able to be the navigator, right? You're the guide. And I think that
holding
having
super
that.
space.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what we're doing here. You could read a book on this and do it. I did it when I was 17, yet I wasn't prepared for what I got. And by doing it this way with the right teaching, you have the foundation and you have the tools in play. And you also have help too, which is great. I love it. All right, so question is on like your in the bigger mission, right? As you step into this role with them and I per se, with them, how do you hope to shape maybe, or contribute to I and kind of this global community? Like what's your role? Or what's that mission for you?
Well, I think it's constantly evolving. I mean, I've been involved with MNI since 2014, and I was a part of the curriculum committee when things started to shift from um, like into LBL and beyond. And so
Hmm.
moving into curriculum that was client centered, much more client centered, and open ended questions, and just getting clearer about wanting to elevate, raise the bar really for I and who and how we can help humanity, just moving into that more audacious goal of connecting on a broader level. I am, as a career partner, I am providing students that will become NI students. So I see that as a really important role in getting people prepared, because I didn't feel like when I was a student, well, it's not that my training wasn't good. I think we've evolved the training so that people can have more of a deep understanding of what it is to become a facilitator before you're actually entering the
Hmm.
training. And before, I think people have so many different backgrounds in hypnosis, and one hypnosis certification doesn't necessarily equal another. And so
Hmm.
you would get all kinds of different backgrounds and skill sets coming into M&I. And although that will still happen, I think having the career partners offer with these pillars in mind in terms of like what they want their students to know is going to be
Hmm.
huge for humanity, because it guarantees the ethics of the work.
Yeah, and also having your experience there, having done so many sessions and teaching and having that, like you said, boots on the ground, you know what to expect. And I think people they don't just want to read a script, right? Just read a script and you want to have that impact. And I think you provide that, which is great. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, I think, starting to access through my work, like just deeper emotion, like having the skill set to help people access it in a deeper way. And
Hmm.
how, as I don't know if it's just Americans or Westerners, having the tendency to want to help people move away from their deeper emotion and like, no, 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 want them to feel good. But then in understanding in the deeper work how alchemical and transformative expressing those emotional catharsis moments are, that was something that I, as a newer facilitator, was like, I got to do this better. When I
Hmm.
was new, the emotional work, the deep emotion work was something that was profound for me. And now that's a huge part of helping people become better facilitators, is helping them to hold space in difficult emotion.
Yeah, I mean that's I've been doing the same thing. It's something where, I think when I first started, you'll see a lot of people that maybe start in this work, but not with them and I kind of maybe you're kind of going into not la la land, or it's more escapism, right? I want to go into a past
Like
life. I want to
spiritual
connect with
bypass.
exactly. I
Mhm.
want to escape from my problems and I want to have spirit. And then when you experience that, it's not as fulfilling. There you come back into your own reality and then you keep trying to escape. So people do drugs or do escape. We're all trying to escape, and the goal is not to escape. It's what I find is, dealing with the emotions, the karmic baggage that we have, those emotional baggages, and identifying what those are in a past life, in our current life, right? Inner child work, right? Parts therapy. By releasing those old emotions, you can then access spirit in a way because you've done it. Like, when you release something like fear or guilt or shame and you truly get past that emotion and you've worked on it in this inner environment, when you connect with spirit, there's such a reward to it, right? Because you've done the work, right? So I think,
Yeah, and you make
yeah,
room by doing the work. It's like
yeah,
you have your capacity increases. And
yeah.
now I don't even, I think back in the day, I would just take anyone past life and then LBL. And over time, I started to realize that that isn't really what felt authentically in the most integrity for my work, is to help people deal with their human based stuff
Hmm.
first,
Yeah.
earth based stuff, and then start to get comfortable with expanding more broadly into higher expanded states of consciousness,
Hmm.
and then go, okay, now you're ready,
Yeah. Like, yeah,
now you're
you're
ready.
ready to graduate up, yeah, to
Yeah.
the
And
and they
then you
can,
can go
yeah.
off the res.
Even farther, yeah, out the exactly. But I mean, you can, you can work on your inner emotional states in this kind of inner landscape with guides, etc. But you're more grounded. You're letting go of the weight that's holding you down, and by doing that, it's easier to expand. That's
Yep.
kind of how I've seen. Yeah, I love it.
Yep. I love it.
Um, yeah. So, for you, like, so that maybe like a tip for like a new student, right now, like if you can go back when you first started, what would be
Mhm.
that one thing you've done differently? What tip would you recommend someone just beginning based on your experience?
Be ready to do the deeper work within yourself. If you're not ready to do your inner work, then you're not ready to be a facilitator. And it's not like, it's not meant to be harsh. It's just a readiness because holding space for people in this work is so sacred and it's so transformative and it won't you won't be as good at it unless you've done your own stuff. And don't be afraid of the shadow work. We all have it. And I think that's another sort of space that we're coming into is a deeper honoring and exploration of our own shadow in a way that's not polarizing. And the more we do our shadow work, the more we can hold space for others and the more they can embody who they're meant to be. And you'll continue to expand too. Don't be afraid of that. Yeah, be your badass self. Like, go just and be persistent. Don't let like if you're not great at facilitating, just keep working on it. Follow people that you resonate with. Don't
Mm-hmm.
become a cookie cutter of another facilitator. I see this work very much as a craft or an
Mm-hmm.
artistry. And that is something that has to come from the soul or from the heart. And if it feels off or inauthentic, or you're not getting the support that you need from
Mm-hmm.
your instructors, find somebody who will give you that support.
I agree. Yeah, you're almost like we're like kind of like chefs, right? We're learning how to cook and we're using recipes and there's little techniques we can use. Eventually you get to that point where you can just taste and cook and you can move forward to it, right? And it's also, working on your shadow. I think that's the one thing that if yeah, same with me is I would by working on my shadow, by releasing those old energies, those old past lives, I've been way more present and been able to understand when someone's working on their self that I can relate to it, right? I'm not running away from my problems. And you'll find the good therapists have done that work. And the ones that haven't, you can tell right away, right? So,
Yeah, the
yeah,
compassion vibe is totally different.
yeah,
And not all lifetimes that you explore. I mean, I think this sometimes surprises people is that not all lifetimes that come through are good lifetimes. They're not fancy pants lifetimes. Sometimes they're really boring.
yeah.
But what happens when the spirit realm is involved, you start to have this total access to broader knowing.
Mm,
And that is the space that I think requires full embodiment here in the earth plane. So expanding out, but through the body, not bypassing, but through the body, and then bringing all of that wisdom from, whether it's, soul groups, council, all of the stops, or you're just going on an expansive journey to other planetary realms, other dimensions,
mhm.
bringing that into the human consciousness embodied
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. It's almost like when we think of we're not going outward. It's almost as if we're accessing what's already inside of us. So I like to think of it as this inner journey that goes somewhere, but within. It's almost like
Mm,
that
mm,
tunnel within, right? You kind of
mhm.
get to the heart space, you heal here, and then it takes you somewhere, which is interesting. It's all how you look at it. I
The
love it.
universe, yeah, the universe within. I think that's interesting because I feel like I feel so much expansion. So the body feels like it's a shape for me. It's a sort of density barrier or demarcation, but then there's also beyond the body. You
Hmm.
know, is my auric field a foot from my body? Is it 5 feet from my body? Is it
Right.
expanding around the planet? These are things that start to become not everybody has the same role, right? Like
Yeah.
what my work is and what your work is, although we have similar training, we get aligned with the people we're supposed to work with. And I think
Exactly.
that's another model that I think is really important to mention with the Newton Institute is a non-competitive model
Hmm.
of facilitation. So we don't compete with each other, we support each other. If I have a client that I think that would be more suited towards inner landscape work, then I would say, I think you need to work with James. Like that
Yeah.
makes more sense. And so that I think is also where we're headed in our evolution on a spiritual level.
Yeah.
Humanity is that sort of old school density of competition and grind and, me against you, or
Yeah.
yeah, moving into a space of more heart coherence.
It's
And
almost like we're like, say at a university, right? Say I would be teaching alchemy, I'll be teaching some kind of mystical art and you're
yeah,
teaching this. And it's like, go take this class or go to this teacher, right? We're all
right,
kind of
this is
teaching this. We're all at the university, but we're teaching maybe a little bit different style, right?
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
different frequency. And our soul lineages know if we trust where we're going. We
Yeah.
just have to let it sort of unfold. And so listen to those. That's another thing. Like listen to those inspirations, listen to those internal moments where you light up.
Yeah. And then also, like, I always say you become the five people you kind of hang around with, all right? Or listen to or watch. So get those books, follow the people. Obviously Michael Newton, his books are great. You've read the books, haven't read them, but there's other greats. Roger Wilger, Dolores Cannon's really great, right? Brian Weiss, Carl Jung, right? There's a lot of people that are in this field and kind of around this field. You start learning from those greats. You
Mhm.
start to learn, and you basically develop your own style, because this isn't a cookie cutter, read this script, this is what you're supposed to do. It's learn it, but then, like Michael said, like make it your own, right? Kind of
Right.
like become, evolve it even more. Maybe 20 years from now, it's going to be a completely different landscape. Right. So like I said, I do like where Newton's going. We're going beyond. We're taking the old teachings of Michael, which is a foundation, and now we're going, what else can we do? Right. Which I love.
Totally.
Cool. I love
Totally.
it.
I
All
love
right.
it.
Yeah. Nora, thanks for showing up today. Heart, wisdom, vision. I love it. Grateful to have your guidance. Excited for your journey ahead, and hope you have a great day. Take care.
Thanks. You too, James.
All right. You're welcome. And